The station drifted in silence after the massacre. Broken lights flickered along the curved halls, casting weak white lines over blood-stained floors and shattered walls. The air smelled of metal, smoke, and something bitter that no machine could filter out. Bodies lay where they had fallen. Humans and aliens alike, but the human bodies were far more numerous. They wore simple envoy uniforms, trade badges, and civilian clothes. None of them carried weapons. Captain Jiho Park moved slowly through the corridor, his boots making soft sounds against the floor. He kept his rifle lowered. There was no one left to fight. The battle, if it could even be called that, had ended hours ago. The attackers were gone. They had come fast, fired without warning, and left just as quickly. Jiho stopped beside a shattered observation window. Beyond it, stars burned calmly, uncaring and distant. He had seen combat before: border clashes, pirate raids, even short wars between rival species. But this was different. This was not a fight. This was execution. Behind him, Arali knelt beside a wounded survivor. She was a medical officer, her uniform torn and darkened with dried blood. Her hands moved with careful speed as she checked for signs of life. She shook her head slowly. Another one gone. Ara stood and closed the dead man's eyes. She did it gently, as if he were only sleeping. Her face was calm, but her eyes were empty. She had run out of tears an hour ago. They were envoys, she said quietly. They came to talk. To make peace? Jiho nodded. He already knew. Everyone knew. The humans had answered the Council's request for talks. They had believed, perhaps foolishly, that words still mattered in the galaxy. The attackers had been Council's security forces. Official ships. Official weapons. There would be no denial of who had done this. Only excuses. A soft sound came from Jiho's wrist console. A message request. He accepted it. On the small screen appeared the face of Ambassador Sora Kim. Her image flickered, the signal weak. Her hair was pulled back tightly, and her face was pale. Behind her, smoke drifted through a ruined chamber. "Captain Park," she said. "Report." Jiho took a breath. "Most are dead. No resistance. No warning." They fired into the halls, the meeting chambers, the docking bays. Medical teams were targeted first. Sora closed her eyes for a moment. When she opened them, something hard had settled there. "The Council claims a security failure," she said. "They say an unidentified threat caused panic." Gaho's jaw tightened. "Lies, yes," Sora said. "But they are speaking those lies very calmly." She looked directly at him through the screen. "Captain, listen carefully. Earth Command has ordered full evacuation of survivors. No retaliation. No statements. No threats."
"Oh."
Jiho frowned. "No response at all?" "None," Sora said. "Human space will go silent." Jiho felt a cold weight settle in his chest. Silence felt wrong. It felt like weakness. He wanted anger. He wanted orders to strike back. But Sora's voice was steady. "This is not surrender," she said, as if reading his thoughts. "This is restraint." The signal cut out. Jiho lowered his arm and looked around the ruined hall again. Restraint did not bring back the dead. Restraint did not clean the blood from the walls. Ara approached him. "Evac ships are ready," she said. "We have 12 survivors." 12, Jiho repeated. They walked together toward the docking bay. As they passed, Ara stopped beside a small body. A child no older than 10. A civilian. She had been traveling with her parents, both now dead beside her. Ara knelt again. She did not touch the child this time. She only bowed her head. "They knew," Ara said softly. "They knew we were not a threat." Jiho did not answer. He could not. Hours later, the last human ship pulled away from the station. From a distance, the station looked almost peaceful. Lights dimmed. Emergency fields, sealed breaches. The galaxy would repair the damage, erase the evidence, and move on. But the recordings were already spreading. Hidden drones had captured everything. The first shots. The screams. The way Council ships blocked escape routes. The way they fired again and again into unarmed crowds, those recordings reached Earth. They reached Mars, Luna, and the outer colonies. They reached small farming stations and deep research hubs. Every human government, every military command, every civilian network saw the same images. There were no riots, there were no speeches, there was only silence. On Earth. City lights dimmed as if the planet itself were holding its breath. Emergency councils formed, not to argue, but to listen. Old rivals sat at the same tables without shouting. Flags were lowered. Not for a day, but indefinitely. Factories shifted schedules. Shipyards reopened sections that had been sealed for decades. Engineers were called back from retirement. Scientists were given unlimited access and no questions. Humanity did not scream. Humanity remembered. General Dajin Han stood alone in a quiet command room beneath Earth's surface. He watched the recordings without looking away. His face did not change. When the final image ended, he shut off the screen. Around him, officers waited. No one spoke. They crossed a line. One officer finally said. Dejin nodded once. Yes, should we respond? Another asked. Dejin looked at the tactical display, not at enemy positions, but at human space. At colonies spread thin across hostile stars, at trade routes that could be cut, at lives that could still be lost. Not yet, he said. The officers did not argue. They trusted him. He had led humanity through smaller wars, through near defeats and slow victories. He understood patience. Far away, the Galactic Council convened in comfort. They spoke of compensation, of regret, of moving forward. Some even joked that humans would protest loudly and then accept whatever was offered. As they always did, they did not notice the change in traffic data. The way human ships withdrew from shared space. The way human communications went dark. They mistook silence for fear. On the edge of known space, Jiho Park stood aboard a medical transport, watching the stars pass. Airily sat nearby, her hands folded, her eyes open but unfocused. Do you think they will be punished? She asked. Jiho thought of the child on the station floor. He thought of the calm lies spoken by the council. No, he said. I think they will forget us. Ara nodded slowly. Humans don't forget. Jiho looked at her. No, he said. We don't. The ship jumped too faster than light travel, vanishing into the dark. Behind it, the galaxy continued on. Unaware that something ancient and dangerous had just awakened, not rage, not madness, but a quiet, united resolve that would not fade with time. The Galactic Council chamber was bright and clean, untouched by the blood that still stained the neutral station far away. Tall windows showed a calm, artificial sky. Smooth seats curved around a central platform where delegates gathered. The room was designed to feel peaceful, to suggest order and fairness. It was a place where wars were discussed as numbers and words, not as lives. Ambassador Sora Kim stood alone on the human platform. The space behind her was empty. There were no other human delegates, no advisors, no guards. Humanity had sent only one voice. Across from her sat dozens of council members, each representing a powerful species. They shifted in their seats, adjusted translation devices, and whispered to one another. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked bored. The council speaker, a tall figure with silver skin and slow movements, raised one hand. The chamber fell quiet. We acknowledge the recent incident, the speaker said in a calm, practiced tone. The loss of life is regrettable. Sora's hands were clasped behind her back. Her face showed no emotion. An internal investigation has concluded, the speaker continued. Security forces responded to what they believed was an immediate threat. Confusion occurred. Mistakes were made. Mistakes. Tatsura felt the words settle heavily in her chest. She said nothing. To maintain peace, the speaker went on. The council proposes compensation. Trade benefits. Reconstruction aid. A formal apology will be recorded. Murmurs spread across the chamber. Some delegates nodded, satisfied. Others glanced at Sora, waiting for the expected response. Anger, protest, tears, none came. Sora stepped forward slowly. When she spoke, her voice was clear and steady. "You fired on unarmed envoys," she said. "You sealed exits. You targeted medical teams. You killed children." The chamber grew tense. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. The investigation found no evidence of intent. One delegate said quickly, "Humans were present during a security breach." "Collateral damage stop," Sora said. The word was soft, but it cut through the chamber. She looked directly at the delegate. "You have the recordings," she said. "You have the timelines. You know exactly what you did?" Light silence followed. The speaker inclined its head slightly. "Ambassador Kim," it said, "the Council values humanity's participation. But emotional accusations will not help." "This is not emotion," Sora replied. "This is memory." She activated a small device in her palm. Images appeared in the air above the platform. Frozen moments from the station. A human medic shot while reaching for a wounded alien. A mother shielding her child. Council ships blocking escape paths. Several delegates looked away. "These images will be shared," Sora said. "With every human colony? With every archive? They will not be erased." The speaker raised its hand again. "Ambassador, threats are not acceptable in this chamber." Sora deactivated the images. "This is not a threat. This is a record." She paused, then added, "Humanity will not accept your compensation." A ripple of surprise spread through the room. "You will not retaliate?" one delegate asked, disbelief clear in its voice. "We will not forget," Sora said. The speaker studied her. "If humanity refuses council resolution, it risks isolation." Sora nodded once. "So be it." She turned and walked away from the platform. No guard stopped her. No one followed. The chamber doors closed behind her with a soft sound. The moment she left, the room filled with voices. "They are bluffing," one delegate said. "Humans are loud. They always protest. It will come back," another added. "They need trade. They need protection." The speaker remained silent, its eyes fixed on the closed doors, far from the council chamber. Deep beneath Earth's surface, General Dejin Han listened to the full recording of the meeting. He sat still, hands folded, eyes focused. "They believe silence is weakness," an advisor said. Dejin nodded. "They believe power is noise." "What is the next step?" another asked. Dajin stood. "Unity." Across human space, messages moved through secure channels. Not speeches. Not propaganda. Simple instructions. Withdraw from shared space. Recall all envoys. Suspend all joint operations. Do not respond to provocations. Civilian ships returned home. Military patrols vanished from border zones. Human trade routes went dark. To the galaxy, it looked like retreat. In truth, it was concentration. Old shipyards that had been abandoned after past wars opened again. Their massive doors groaned as they moved for the first time in decades. Inside, half-forgotten hulls waited, thick with dust and memory. Engineers like Sejin Kwan walked those halls, running hands along old metal, reading faded markings. These ships were not elegant. They were built for survival. "We can upgrade them," Sejin said to his team. Stronger armor. Faster drives. No waste. There were no arguments. Only work. On Luna, Ara Lee helped establish long-term medical stations. She trained teams for battlefield care, not emergency relief. She did not ask why. She already knew. "We prepare for the worst," she told her students. "So fewer names are added to the lists." In orbit around Mars, Jiho Park returned to active duty. His ship was reassigned without ceremony. No medals, no speeches. "Where are we going?" he asked the flight officer. "Where we are needed," came the answer. The council watched these movements with mild interest. "They are isolating themselves," one analyst reported. "Economic pressure will bring them back." Limited sanctions were proposed. Trade inspections. Delays. Nothing. Severe. Then a convoy of human medical supplies was stopped at a checkpoint. Scanned, delayed, days passed. The supplies never reached their destination. The convoy was destroyed by pirates soon after. The Council claimed it was unfortunate timing. Earth Command received the report. Dajin read it once. Then he closed the file. "Log it," he said. No response. Some officers shifted uneasily. "How many before we answer?" one asked. Dajin met his gaze. Enough that the answer cannot be misunderstood. On the council floor, confidence grew. Humans were quiet. Too quiet. "They are afraid," a delegate said. "They remember losing their homeworld wars." Another laughed softly. "They are learning their place." No one noticed the pattern forming in deep space. The way human ships gathered just beyond sensor range. The way colonies adjusted population flows, moving civilians inward, away from borders. Humanity was not shrinking, it was bracing. Sora Kim returned to Earth and submitted her resignation. It was denied. "You are still needed," Dajin told her. "Not as an ambassador," she said. "Then, as a witness," he replied. She accepted. The galaxy continued its routines. Trade flowed. Councils met. Borders shifted slightly, and beneath it all, humanity waited, not with anger, not with hope, but with a shared understanding that when the next blow came, there would be no more silence. Earth did not look like a world preparing for war. The skies were clear. Cities moved at their normal pace. Children went to school. Trains ran on time. To an outsider, nothing had changed. Under the surface, everything had. Deep command centers came online across the planet. Old bunkers were reopened. New ones were finished in silence. Networks that had once competed were merged. There were no debates about leadership. Authority flowed to those who knew how to hold it steady. General Dajin Han moved between rooms without escorts. People stepped aside when he passed, not from fear, but from trust. He spoke little. When he did, his words were short and clear. "Protect civilians. Prepare supply lines. Do not provoke." No slogans. No speeches. On Mars, shipyards worked day and night. Sparks filled the dry, red air as hulls were cut, reinforced, and rebuilt. These ships were not meant to look impressive. They were meant to survive. Sejin Kwan studied a damaged cruiser frame with his team. He pointed to weak sections. "Thicken here," he said. "And here, we don't need speed records. We need ships that come home." A younger engineer hesitated. "Command hasn't announced war." Jean nodded. "Then we prepare so we never have to announce it." No one laughed. Across the outer colonies, civilian traffic shifted inward. Families were relocated quietly. Entire stations were emptied without panic. People were told it was maintenance or safety upgrades. Most accepted the explanation. They trusted the silence. Era Lee oversaw medical drills on Luna. Rows of medics. Practiced triage under pressure. No shouting, no drama. She corrected mistakes calmly. "Slow hands," she said. "Clear minds. Panic kills faster than wounds." A trainee asked, "Will it be this bad?" Era paused. "Worse," she said. "That is why we train." She remembered the station. The blood. The quiet after the guns stopped. She did not allow herself to forget. In orbit near the border, Jiho Park trained new crews. Simulated engagements played across their screens. He watched how they reacted under stress. "Again," he said after a failed maneuver. "We lost the ship," a pilot protested. Jiho nodded. "You also saved the convoy." Again. They ran the simulation until the crew stopped arguing and started listening. Beyond human space. The galaxy continued its routines. Council members held meetings. Trade disputes were resolved. Entertainment streams joked about human withdrawal. They went quiet, one commentator said. That's what happens when you push too hard. Small pressures increased. Inspection delays. Route changes. Taxes. Each one small. Each one deniveled. Need a neutral system reported harassment. Patrol ships circled too close. Warning shots were fired near civilian habitats. The outpost sent footage to Earth. Doggin reviewed it. Evacuate, he ordered. Do we respond? An officer asked. Not yet. The outpost was emptied within hours. As the last shuttle departed, a patrol ship fired a real shot. The station's outer ring was damaged. No one was inside. The council issued a statement about a navigation error. On Earth, the statement was archived. Not answered, Sora Kim sat in a quiet office, reviewing records. Her role had changed. She no longer spoke for humanity. She observed. She collected, she marked patterns. Who spoke? Who voted? Who stayed silent? These ones will deny everything, she said to herself. These ones will follow orders. These ones will panic. She sent her analysis to Dajin. He replied with one word. Received. In deep space, far beyond common lanes, human fleets gathered. They used old routes, masked signals, and slow burns. Nothing flashy, nothing fast. Commanders met through secure links. Faces appeared, nodded, disappeared. Rules remain, Dajin said. No civilian targets. No revenge strikes. We fight forces, not populations. Some commanders looked relieved. Others looked grim. A young officer asked, What if they hide behind civilians? Dajin answered without hesitation. Then they will expose themselves to their own. People, the council did not see the fleets. They saw only data gaps. Sensor errors, analysts said human systems are outdated. Others agreed. Confidence. Grew a vote passed to authorize limited enforcement actions against human trade lanes. Not war. Just pressure. The first strike hit a lightly guarded route. 2 human cargo ships were destroyed. Crews were lost. News of the strike spread across the galaxy. Still no response. Commentators noted on Earth, names were added to a list. Era read the list that night. She closed her eyes when she saw familiar ones. She did not cry. Jiho received reassignment orders. His ship was moved closer to the border. His crew packed in silence. Is this it? A navigator asked. Jiho looked at the stars ahead. Soon, he said. General Dajin Han stood before a wall of quiet screens. No alerts. No alarms. Only readiness indicators. Threshold reached, an advisor said softly. Dajin nodded. Prepare the address to the council. Yes, and if they refuse, they won't, Dajin said. They believe they are still in control. The message request was sent in the council chamber. The speaker received the notice. A human general wished to speak. Some delegates laughed. Finally, one said, They come to beg. The speaker raised its hand. Grant the request. The chamber prepared for a display. They did not understand what they had just agreed to. Across human space, fleets powered up. Drives warmed. Crews took their stations. No cheers, no music, only quiet. Confirmations? Ready, ready, ready? Humanity did not shout its anger into the void. It aimed, and it waited for the moment when. Words would no longer be enough. The council. Chamber filled quickly. Delegates took their seats, speaking in low voices. Some were curious. Some were amused. A human general had requested to speak. Many believed it would be an apology or a plea to reopen trade. The speaker raised its hand. The room quieted. The representative of humanity may address the council, it said. The central platform lit up. A single figure appeared. General Dajin Han stood in a plain uniform. No medals, no symbols of rank beyond a simple insignia. He did not bow. He did not look around the room. He looked straight ahead. The translators engaged. Every system in the chamber adjusted to his voice. I will be brief, Dajin said. A few delegates leaned forward, disappointed. You killed our people, he continued. You killed them while they were unarmed. You killed them while they were trying to speak. Murmurs spread across the room. The council has acknowledged the incident. the speaker said. We regret. Do not interrupt me, Daijin said. The words were calm. The effect was immediate. The speaker paused, surprised. Daijin did not raise his voice. For 3 cycles, he said, humanity remained silent. You thought this meant fear? You were wrong. Several delegates exchanged looks. We were deciding, Daijin said, whether the galaxy understood restraint. Images appeared behind him. Not dramatic. Not edited. Raw recordings. The station corridors. The first shots. Medical teams. Falling children running. The chamber grew tense. Some delegates looked away. Others watched closely, faces unreadable. These recordings are already archived, Daijin said. They cannot be erased. They will exist as long as humanity exists. The speaker raised its hand again. General Han, this presentation is unnecessary, Daijin said. It is required, he gestured. The images changed human trade ships. Destroyed. Outposts evacuated under fire. Convoys delayed and lost. These actions occurred after our silence, Daijin said. They were not accidents. They were tests. One delegate stood. Humanity has not declared war, it said. These were enforcement actions. Daijin looked at the delegate. You do not decide what war is for us. The chamber went still. Daijin continued. Humanity will no longer seek council judgment. We will not accept compensation. We will not accept apologies written to erase guilt. He paused. From this moment, he said, humanity considers itself at war with those responsible. Voices erupted across the chamber. The speaker struck the floor with its staff. This is a grave escalation, yes, Daijin said. It is. He looked directly into the main lens. This war is limited. We will target military assets, command structures, and enforcement fleets. We will not target civilians. Some delegates laughed nervously. You expect us to believe that? One asked. You will, Daijin said. Because you will still be alive to verify it. The laughter stopped. Daijin took a breath. This is not vengeance. This is consequence. The transmission ended. For a moment, the chamber was silent. Then chaos followed, sealed the borders. One delegate shouted, Mobilize defense fleets. Another cried, They cannot strike us all. A third insisted. The speaker raised its hand. But order was slow to return. Too slow. Across known space, human fleets moved. They did not rush. They did not charge. They appeared where they had always been able to appear, but had chosen not to. Near the border systems. Enforcement fleets lost contact one by one. Sensors went blind. Communications failed. Then ships vanished from tracking altogether. At a major council shipyard. Alarms sounded as human strike groups emerged from masked positions. Precision fire disabled docks, power cores. In command towers, no civilian quarters were hit. Workers fled as warning signals flashed across human channels, marking safe corridors. Within minutes, the shipyard was silent. In another system, Jiho Park led a task group against a patrol fleet. His orders were clear. Disable drives, he said. Then weapons. The engagement was short. Human targeting systems adapted quickly. Enemy ships lost movement first. Then firepower, cease fire. Jiho ordered when the last ship drifted powerless. Some of his crew stared at the screens. We could finish them, the gunner said. Jiho shook his head. We won't, the message was sent. Withdraw. You are defeated. The enemy ships did not answer. They did not need to. On Luna, Airily received casualty reports. They were fewer than expected. Still, too many. She organized triage teams, moving supplies where they were needed most. They warned civilians, a nurse said. Before every strike, Iran nodded. That was the order. In the council chamber. News feeds filled the air. Shipyard lost. Patrol fleet disabled. Command relay destroyed. The delegates shouted over one another. This is an invasion. One cried. No, another said, voice shaking. This is containment. The speaker watched the data scroll past. Patterns formed too quickly to deny. These are coordinated strikes, it said slowly. Planned long in advance, fear crept into the chamber. How many systems? Someone asked. The answer came from an aide. So far, 12. More reports followed. 15-20-20, human fleets withdrew as quickly as they arrived, leaving crippled military structures behind. They did not occupy. They did not chase. They marked targets. They moved on, in human command. Daijin watched the progress without expression. Phase 1 complete, an officer reported. Daijin nodded. Hold positions. What if they counterattack? They will, Daijin said, and we will be ready. On the council floor, emergency votes were called. Authorize full retaliation. One delegate demanded, with what? Another replied, they just removed our forward fleets. Panic spread. Then a new feed appeared. Human channels. Open and clear. A simple message repeated across frequencies. This action is limited. Stand down your enforcement fleets. Withdraw from human space. Further aggression will be answered. No threats, no insults, only fact. Some systems complied, others did not. In one sector, a council-aligned fleet moved toward a human colony. Jiho received the alert. All ships. Form screen, he ordered. The battle that followed was short and brutal. Human ships absorbed fire, closed distance, and disabled the fleet's command vessel. When it was over, the colony remained untouched. The council fleet did not move again. Back on Earth, Sora Kim watched the feeds in silence. The pattern she had predicted was unfolding. They underestimated resolve. She said, they always do, Degin replied, as the first day of open war ended. The galaxy faced a truth it had ignored. Humanity had not been quiet because it was weak. It had been quiet because it was preparing. And now that it had spoken, the galaxy was finally listening. The second phase of the war did not begin with a grand attack. It began with pressure. Across the galaxy, council fleets tried to regroup. Orders were sent and resent. Commanders argued over routes and supplies. Some systems demanded protection. Others refused to host military ships. Fearing human response, human forces watched and waited. General Daijin Han stood in the central command room, hands behind his back. The screens showed calm lines and steady icons. No alarms. No chaos. They are spreading out, an officer reported. Trying to protect everything. Daijin nodded. That is the mistake. He issued a short order. Begin containment. Human fleets moved again, not to strike worlds, but to cut paths between them. Key jump points were blocked. Communication relays were disabled, and left intact enough to transmit warnings. Withdraw military assets. Civilian traffic will be unharmed. Ignore this message. And the next one will not repeat itself. Many systems complied. Some did not. In a border sector, a council admiral ordered his fleet forward. He believed human restraint was a trick. He believed force would break it. Jiho Park's task group detected the movement hours before contact. They're advancing, the sensor officer said. Jiho studied the display. Hold formation. Let them see us. The two fleets faced each other across open space. Weapons powered up. Signals crossed. This sector is under council authority, the admiral transmitted. Withdraw immediately, Jiho replied calmly. This sector is under dispute. Withdraw your fleet. The admiral fired first. Human shields absorbed the opening volley. Jiho waited. Return fire, he ordered. Target engines only. Human shots struck with precision. One ship slowed, then another. Within minutes, half the fleet drifted without power. The admiral attempted retreat. His command ship lost drive control. Cease fire, Guho ordered. The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. Broadcast terms, Guho said. The message went out. Surrender your weapons. Power down. Medical aid will be provided. Some ships complied, others did not. Those ships were disabled. Next, the sector fell quiet. News of the engagement spread fast. Not of destruction, but of control. Human forces did not chase fleeing ships. They did not strike stations. They stopped once resistance ended. Fear grew, mixed with confusion. On Earth, airily reviewed medical intake reports. Wounded soldiers arrived from multiple fronts. Many were not human. Treat them the same, Era said. No delays. The nurse hesitated. They fired on civilians. Ara met her eyes. We are not them. The nurse nodded and returned to work. In council space, political cracks widened. Delegates accused one another of provoking humanity. Emergency sessions ended in shouting. They cannot fight the entire galaxy. One insisted. They are not trying to, another replied. They are breaking us apart. Trade halted. Insurance networks collapsed. Shipping lanes emptied. Systems that once relied on council protection now questioned its value. Human envoys did not appear. Human warships did. They appeared only long enough to deliver warnings or disable military assets. Then they vanished. Sora Kim monitored the political fallout. Her predictions continued to prove correct. Several members are seeking separate talks. She told Diogen, "No negotiations yet," he replied, "even if they surrender." Dagin considered. Surrender must be collective, or it is meaningless. Another report arrived. A council weapons platform had powered up near a civilian trade hub. Human warnings were ignored. Dane issued the order. The platform was disabled within minutes. Its weapons melted. Its command core shut down. Civilian ships passed. Safely through the hub afterward? The message was clear: humanity was not attacking the galaxy. It was removing the galaxy's ability to attack humanity in one distant system. A human colony finally faced direct assault. A council-lined fleet bypassed warnings and jumped in close. Sirens echoed through the colony. Jiho's fleet arrived seconds later. "This is Jiho Park of Human Command," he transmitted. "Stand down immediately." The enemy fleet fired. The battle was fierce but brief. Human ships moved between the attackers and the colony, absorbing fire and returning precise strikes. When the last hostile ship went dark, the colony was untouched. Civilians watched from shelters as human vessels formed a protective ring. For the first time, many in the galaxy saw human warships not as invaders, but as shields. On the council floor, panic gave way to fear. "They are everywhere," a delegate whispered. "No," the speaker said quietly. "They are exactly where they choose to be." Emergency messages flooded. Council channels. Systems withdrawing. Fleets surrendering member. Worlds demanding peace. The speaker requested contact with General Dagen. Han. The request was acknowledged. The response was delayed. Dagen stood in command, reviewing casualty lists. They were shorter than expected. "Still too long, we are holding," an officer said. "But the pressure is growing." Jin nodded. "Good. Pressure reveals truth." At last he authorized a reply. The speaker appeared on screen, its calm facade strained. "The council seeks de-escalation," it said. Dagen looked at it steadily. "Withdraw all enforcement fleets from human-adjacent space. That will leave members exposed." "Yes," Dagen said. "That is what you have done to us for years." The speaker hesitated. "Comply," Dagen added, "and the war will not expand." The screen went dark. Across the galaxy, orders were issued. Some fleets pulled back, others delayed. Human command tracked every movement. "This is not over," an officer said. Dagen agreed. "No, but they are beginning to understand." As the fifth cycle of war ended, the galaxy faced a new reality. Humanity was not burning worlds. It was teaching a lesson, and the lesson was spreading faster than fear. The war entered a new stage, and the galaxy felt it everywhere. This time it was not sudden strikes or broken fleets. It was absence. Council patrols vanished from major routes. Enforcement stations went dark. Systems that once relied on constant oversight found themselves alone. Humanity did not replace the council. It removed it. In many regions, panic followed. Local leaders argued over defense. Old rivalries returned. Some worlds armed themselves. Others sent desperate messages asking for protection. Human command did not answer all of them. General Jean Han watched these changes carefully. Stability must come from choice, he said, not force. Some advisors disagreed. If we don't step in, they will turn on each other, one warned. Dejan nodded. Then we step in only where civilians are at risk. Orders went out. Human fleets were authorized to intervene only to stop mass violence or protect evacuation routes. No occupation. No governance. In a fractured system near the Outer Rim, two council-lined factions clashed over control of a fuel depot. Civilian ships were trapped between them. Jiho Park's fleet arrived without warning. All vessels, powered down, Jiho transmitted. This is a protected zone, weapons locked onto both sides equally. Neither faction trusted the other, but both trusted the targeting systems aimed at them. Fire stopped. Evacuation corridors opened. Civilian ships escaped. When the last one jumped away, Jiho withdrew his fleet. The factions stared at. Empty space. The message was clear. Humans would stop slaughter. They would not choose sides across the galaxy. Stories spread. Human ships arriving, stopping violence. Leaving no demands, no flags raised, fear slowly shifted into something new. Respect on Luna. Ara Lee walked through recovery wards. Many beds were empty now. The flow of wounded had slowed. She paused beside a patient who was not human. The being's skin was pale, its breathing uneven. "You're safe," she said gently. The being's eyes opened. "Why?" it asked weakly. Era answered without hesitation. "Because killing stops here." The being closed its eyes again. In council space, remaining leaders met in emergency session. The chamber felt smaller than before. "The council cannot protect us," one delegate said, "but the humans can." "We cannot accept their dominance," another replied. "They are not ruling us," a third said quietly. "They are correcting us." The speaker listened. Its confidence gone, reports continued to arrive. Another enforcement. Fleet surrendered. Another weapons platform shut down. Another system declared. Neutrality. Humanity did not celebrate on Earth. There were no parades. No victory messages. Cities remained calm. Memorial lights were lit each night instead. Sora Kim stood at one such memorial. Names scrolled slowly across a dark wall. She recognized many. "They are listening now," she said to Dajin, who stood beside her. "Yes," he replied, "but listening is not enough." "What comes next?" she asked. "Truth," Dagan said. That truth came when classified. Council archives were released. Human intelligence units had captured data cores during early strikes. They did not destroy them. They studied them, and then they shared them across the galaxy. Evidence spread. Records of planned pressure campaigns. Documents discussing how many human losses were acceptable. Minutes from meetings where massacre risks were labeled. Manageable. Worlds that had doubted. Humanity now saw the proof. Outrage followed. Council worlds protested. Their own leaders. Some governments collapsed, others rushed to distance themselves from past actions. "This is destabilizing," an advisor warned Dajin. "Yes," Dajin said. So was the massacre. In one heavily armed system, a remaining council hardliner attempted a final stand. Defense grids powered up. Fleets gathered. The system broadcast a challenge. "Human." Command responded. Jiho Park led the operation. The plan was simple. Disable power. Disable. Communications leave human ships emerged in precise formation. Electronic warfare spread like a wave. Defense grids shut down. No shots were fired. When power returned hours later, the fleets were gone. The system had no weapons. It had no council. Only civilians. The message echoed across the stars. Resistance was possible. Victory was not. On Earth. General Daejin Han. Reviewed the final reports of the phase. Casualties were minimal compared to projections. Civilian losses were low. The galaxy, however, was changed. An officer spoke quietly. They are asking for a new assembly. Without the old council? Daijin looked at the star map. Then let them build it. In humanity's role. Dajin considered the question. We will attend, he said. We will speak. And then we will step back. Sora nodded. They will fear we are manipulating them. They will, Dajin agreed, until they realize we are not staying in distant systems. Children played again near windows that looked out on space. Trade routes slowly reopened, not because the council ordered it, but because humanity allowed it. The galaxy had learned something it could not forget. Humanity did not need to rule, it only needed to remember and ensure that the galaxy did the same. The war ended. Without a final battle, there was no last charge. No burning world. No speech shouted over ruins. It ended with a meeting. A new assembly gathered in a neutral system far from old council space. The station was smaller, simpler, and open to view. No hidden chambers. No sealed balconies. Light filled the halls. Human ships arrived first, then took distant orbits. They did not surround the station. They did not lock weapons. They waited. One by one, delegations arrived. Some came with fear, some with anger, some with relief. Many came because they had no better choice. Inside the central hall, seats were arranged in a wide circle. No raised platform. No central throne. Sor Kim walked in with the human delegation. She wore a plain dark suit. No symbols. No rank markings. General Daejin Han followed, hands behind his back, calm as ever. Jiho Park and Era Lee took seats nearby. Sejin Kwan stood at the rear, observing quietly. The room filled. Voices echoed. Systems translated. At last, silence settled. A representative from a former council world stood. Its voice shook slightly. We acknowledge the end of hostilities, it said. And the collapse of the old council, its murmurs spread. We request terms, another delegate added. Daejin did not stand immediately. He waited until the noise faded. There are no terms, he said. The words caused confusion. No demands. Someone asked. No tribute, another said. Daijin shook his head. No rule, no occupation, no human authority over your worlds? The room stirred. Then why are you here? A delegate demanded. To remember, Dagan said. He gestured, and a single image appeared. Not the massacre itself, but the faces of the dead. Names followed, slowly. This assembly exists, Daijin said, because you failed to protect the weak, because power was used without restraint. He lowered his hand. The image vanished. Humanity will not join a council that forgets, he continued. We will not enforce your laws. We will not patrol your borders. Sora stepped forward. But we will record, she said. We will observe. And if this assembly repeats the crimes of the past, humanity will respond again. No threats followed. No raised voices, the message was clear. A delegate from a smaller world spoke carefully. What does humanity want? Era answered before Daijin could. For children to live, she said. For medics to be protected, for words to matter again. Silence followed. Jiho looked around the room. He saw fear. He also saw understanding. The assembly voted that day. Not on leadership. On limits. Limits on enforcement fleets. Limits on collective punishment. Absolute protection for envoys, civilians, medical teams. Humanity did not vote. They watched. The new assembly formed slowly after that. Not strong, not united, but cautious. Human fleets withdrew sector by sector. Routes reopened. Stations repaired where human ships passed. They left no bases behind, only markers. Memorial beacons were placed at massacre sites across the galaxy. Silent lights that could not be turned off. On Earth, the lights burned brightest. General Daijinhan stood before the final casualty list. He read every name one last time. "Stand down," he ordered. The fleets powered down, soldiers returned home. Jiho Park walked along a quiet observation deck months later. His ship was docked for repairs, not war. Airily joined him. "It's strange," she said. The silence. Jiho nodded. "It feels earned." Era looked out at the stars. "Do you think they learned?" Jiho thought of the new assembly. The beacons. The fear that remained. "Yes," he said. "Enough." Sora Kim returned to diplomacy not as a negotiator but as a witness. She attended meetings, said little, and recorded everything. Sejin Kwan went back to building ships. Not warships this time. Transport vessels. Rescue craft. Humanity rebuilt quietly. The galaxy watched carefully. Years passed. The massacre was no longer recent history. But it was never forgotten. Children across many worlds learned about the day humans went silent. About the war that followed. About the restraint that ended it. They learned that humanity did not win by destroying the galaxy. It won by refusing to be erased. On a distant memorial world, a human child asked a guide, "Why didn't they rule everyone?" The guide answered, "Because humans remember what power can do." Far away, General Daijinhan stood beneath an open sky for the last time as a commander. He watched ships move peacefully between stars. Humanity had spoken. The galaxy had listened. And both would remember the cost of forgetting.